My ultimate ambition is to get to Formula 1. I think Schumacher, Coulthard, Hacknam, they're probably my main heroes right now, and hopefully I'd like to be racing against them in a few years.
He's the rookie. He wants to learn, he wants to have fun, but he wants to win, and he's set to make motorsport history. He's the champion. The rookie kid is starting to irritate him. He's got one more chance to put him in his place. The Iceman might just ambush them both. He doesn't say much, but he's fast and brave, and he's a contender as well. Hamilton, Alonso and Raikkonen, the final round shootout that decides the World Championship. Welcome to Interlagos, Sao Paulo, the Brazilian Grand Prix, poised to produce a sensational climax to this Formula One season.
It could be one of Formula One's greatest ever occasions. We've got a Brazilian on pole position, Felipe Massa, and that means that this Interlagos circuit has been packed and vibrant for the last few hours. But worldwide, the attention is on this one garage, the McLaren garage. One half of it belongs to the double world champion Fernando Alonso. But it's a place of extraordinary tension because just a few paces away, the other half belongs to Britain's 22-year-old World Championship leader, Lewis Hamilton. And Mark Blundell, the big question is, in a few hours' time, will the world title itself also belong to Lewis?
I think it will be, I really do, Steve. I think he's fully deserving of it. He's been fantastic this season. Never seen anything and anybody come into Formula One and do this kind of job. And as I say, fully deserving. If it all goes wrong, no disgrace. He's done a great job, but I don't think there's going to be any problems. I think everything's going to go according to the plan.
And there are so many things that could intervene. One is the temperature here. It's very hot once more, and there's a lot of concern about how these softer tyres are going to perform today.
You know, there's huge concern down the pit lane at the moment. I've spoken to a few teams. Some teams are saying, you know, we're really concerned the softer tyre may only do 8 laps in terms of general performance. They're very worried about that. And don't forget, they've got to run one of those softer tyres a whole set during the race. A lot of people with different things are thinking about, even I've heard maybe pace car going out, wet tyres going on, and that cancelling out the fact that they have to run the softer option. Big ideas, not sure whether they'll work or not.
Just part of the unpredictability of Formula One, but Lewis Hamilton is certainly the favourite. He's on the front row. He leads the World Championship by 4 points. So to win the title, the most straightforward way for Lewis is to finish first or second. That would make him the first driver to take the title in his rookie season. If Alonso wins and Hamilton isn't second, then Alonso wins the title again. And then there's Raikkonen. He just needs to win. And if Lewis is no better than 6th and Alonso no better than 3rd, then Raikkonen is champion for the first time. There are plenty of other permutations which James Allen and Martin Brundle will take us through as the drama unfolds from 5 o'clock onwards. But what a day it could be for Britain's Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis arrived here about 3 hours ago, having driven himself through the Sao Paulo traffic alongside Adam Constanza. There would follow an engineer's briefing, a physio session and an appearance for the sponsors before he would take himself away for quiet preparation. The crowd, by contrast, have been here and noisy since before 8 o'clock. The first time they got to see the stars was in the drivers' parade about 20 minutes ago. An ecstatic reception for pole position man Felipe Massa, and great support for Lewis, who would have realised now, if not before, what a special place Interlagos is and how close he is to emulating his great hero, Ayrton Senna.
It may well be that on this very special day you're watching the build-up to a Grand Prix for the very first time, so we'll try to take you through the key moments in the countdown to the race start, which is scheduled for 5 o'clock UK time. But in the meantime, Louise Goodman can take us through the key moments of this extraordinary season so far.
Cracks in the relationship between Alonso and Hamilton first appeared in Monaco. Fernando took a crucial pole. Lewis was told to hold station after the pit stops. Alonso won the race, but despite the public shows of togetherness, tension was building behind the scenes. There were times like Canada when the rivalry led to mistakes.
Alonso goes to the outside as he made it. He's run wide. He's cut the corner. He's gone for broke, and it's cost him.
But there was no mistaking Lewis Hamilton's unbridled joy at that first Grand Prix victory in Montreal. In France, it was Raikkonen's turn to shine. The Finn rediscovered his mojo after a lacklustre few races.
I think Raikkonen's got the edge. Raikkonen will take the lead of the Grand Prix, went 2 laps further, was faster and is leading.
Stealing victory from under the nose of his teammates silenced the critics, and a repeat performance at Silverstone put the Finn right back in the hunt. At the Nürburgring, Hamilton had a blowout in qualifying, his first bad hand in a hitherto blessed debut season. Winded but not wounded, he took the start, but wrong tyre choices led to a first finish outside the points.
They touch wheels!
Incredible! Alonso in the lead.
Meanwhile, Fernando gave us a masterclass in overtaking to clinch the victory. The fragile truce at McLaren was shattered in Hungary when Alonso was deemed to have deliberately impeded Hamilton in the pits. Next day, Lewis answered back in the best possible way.
Lewis Hamilton takes his 3rd victory in Formula One.
Formula One returned to a foggy Fuji where Hamilton struck a decisive blow on Saturday afternoon.
Pole position for Lewis Hamilton. It's a massive, massive result.
In monsoon conditions on Sunday, Lewis controlled the pack. Ferrari made bad tyre choices and Alonso made a rare mistake.
One of the 2 main championship contenders, Fernando Alonso, has hit the wall.
The victory and Lewis a 12-point lead. He should have clinched the title in China, but he pushed his luck when he pushed his tyres too hard.
He goes straight on into the gravel track. Can he keep the wheels spinning? Can he get some momentum going? No, he can't. It's all going to get away from him.
While Lewis tasted defeat, Alonso savoured success, Raikkonen guzzled the victory champagne, and the stage was set for a thrilling climax.
It's a thrilling climax that maybe Lewis Hamilton could do without, but he's recovered so well from the disappointment of China, but it's put all the pressure back on his mechanics. There's a neurotic attention to detail behind us here. This is the last chance for them as well.
It really is. They've been checking everything and checking it again. They don't want to make any mistakes, Steve. At the end of the day, though, we've got to this point, and it's all down to Lewis Hamilton doing a sterling job. And just watching some of those clips then just brings back some memories, and again, underlining the fact that he's a rookie. He's coming to Formula One with no experience whatsoever, up against a world champion, double world champion, and he's really shown him the way. But atmosphere here, unreal.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? If he can do it today, he becomes the first British Formula One world champion since Damon Hill 11 years ago, and he joins an illustrious list of 8 British drivers who have taken the top prize in Grand Prix motor racing. And behind us here in the garage, an important moment for Lewis Hamilton today. His moment in which he shakes the hands of all those who have brought him to this wonderful opportunity in the Formula One World Championship. He's got thanks all round. There are pumped fists all round. There's expectation, there's pressure, but there's pure satisfaction in the job that they've done so far and the job that they might do over the course of the next few hours. And you can see how relaxed Lewis Hamilton is. Well, in about 10 minutes' time, the noise and the crescendo of excitement and expectation will increase down this pit lane. The pit lane opens on the half hour, and that's when the cars head out onto the grid. But first of all, let's look back on the action of yesterday. And as James Allen now reports, qualifying yesterday was another huge boost to Lewis's title ambitions.
It's a very short lap period into Lagos, just 71 seconds. That means the gaps between the cars and the grid are very small. You've got to get it right in qualifying. It was always likely that Felipe Massa would run with a light car and try and grab pole position. He did it last year, while Lewis Hamilton knew that a front row grid slot was vital if he was going to control his destiny. The front four then all went for it in qualifying. Fernando Alonso strangely off colour for the second race in a row. He says it's his own fault that he's slow. Kimi Raikkonen felt that this incident with Lewis Hamilton on his final run cost him lap time, but Ferrari made no protest and the FIA took no action. Hamilton found 0.4 of a second on his final run with a particularly strong middle sector. He got that all-important front row grid slot. But the absolute class act of qualifying was Felipe Massa. He stormed to pole position with a sensational lap. And it's ironic, isn't it, that the one man amongst the top four who has no say in this World Championship will control this race. It's the decisive moment then. Felipe Massa on pole for the second year in a row here in Brazil. Hamilton his 12th front row start of the season. Raikkonen has never won here at Interlagos. Alonso rather dejected in fourth. Webber, it's his best of the year for Red Bull in fifth, with Heidfeld alongside him. Kubica and Trulli make up row 4. Row 5, David Coulthard again in the top 10 with Nico Rosberg. Rubens Barrichello, yet to score a point this season, has Fisichella for company. It's the two Toro Rossos punching above their weight on row 7. Row 8, Ralf Schumacher, his last outing for Toyota with Jenson Button. That's Kovalainen's worst qualifying since Montreal. Sato is 18th. Kazuki Nakajima, the new boy in the Williams, is 19th with Anthony Davidson alongside him. And at the back, the two spikers. Sutil had a problem in qualifying, but he's still faster than Yamamoto.
We know the championship is not so easy, and it's not depending just from me. It's depending from where it's going to be the McLarens. So for sure I'm going to start tomorrow thinking about the victory, and then we see how it's going the race.
The car was really good, and I was quite happy with the qualifying session. It was good fun, and it's good to have such a close battle with the other guys. And we I'm where I need to be, at least. First row, that's where we need to be.
We don't have any other choices than just try to do the best all we can. Try to be, first of all, try to win. Try to be 1 and 2 as a team, and then see what happens.
I think with advantage in terms of points that the leader has compared to me, it's getting tough for me. But you never know. The race is very long.
Well, Jenson, just not long before you go into the car now. Lovely day. What do you think is going to happen first in your race and then in the championship?
I don't think my race is going to be too exciting. I think it's going to be at the front. But I don't know, it's going to be an interesting one. I think the first corner is where it's all going to be at, really. I think after the first corner, after everyone exits turn 1, you'll pretty much know who's going to be champion.
And what else do we have to look out for? Tyres?
Yeah, but I think everyone can look after their tyres fine. And it's just going to be the first lap that's important.
Have a good one.
Jenson Button, who's back there on row 8. But how important is this front row position for Lewis Hamilton?
Oh, it's very important indeed. And also, there's not such a disadvantage to be second on the grid here. Technically, it's a little bit shorter on that run down into turn 1. But again, we have seen several problems in the past on this start. It can be a little bit tricky. There's a few things that have happened over the course of some other Grand Prix, and we've seen a few people actually having a few incidents. In 2005, just watch as they go down into turn 1 here, Steve. That's the incident between Mark Webber and Pitsonia. Just collected each other. Fortunately, they were at the rear of the grid, but that kind of thing we can see maybe at the front of today's grid. I think there's too much tension for the people to get too much trouble. at this stage, but you can see the kind of thing that happens.
But Felipe Massa on pole position, he's not a title contender, but what might be his role this afternoon?
You know, he's a key man in this race today because in some ways he has to play a supporting role to Kimi Raikkonen. Raikkonen's unfortunately on the second row for him. They need to try and switch positions. I think Massa's going to go for the win. It's his home race, big support for him. But again, Raikkonen and Alonso, nothing to lose today. Pressure on Lewis to bring it home, and I think he'll do it.
So it's a three-way shootout for the title. Three contenders, three very different characters and personalities.
The champion with his title to lose, the Iceman with Ferrari's expectations on his shoulders, and the rookie, no one expected to get this far. Who will succeed Fernando Alonso as world champion? The chances of that being Alonso himself took a big hit here in qualifying. Fernando struggled with the car's balance and faces a power disadvantage given that his engine has already done the last race in China and needs to be treated with care today. Alonso's philosophical about his task. He needs to win this race with Lewis third or lower, or finish second with Lewis being sixth or worse. He can't even rely on different tactics from Hamilton to get him out of trouble.
We are in completely the same strategy, so that will be difficult to recover any point. And a part of that, as I said, I was waiting a miracle in China. I need another one here if I want to become champion.
Kimi Raikkonen's task is simple: win or bust, and he has pole sitter Felipe Massa on hand to help him out if necessary. It looks like Kimi's on a two-stop race to Hamilton and Massa's three-stop, but even so, for Kimi to be champion, he must win and hope Fernando Alonso's third or worse and Lewis Hamilton's no better than sixth.
We are in the weakest position and out of those three, so like I said, even if we are 1 and 2, we cannot still win it if they are after us, so we only can go, and it's quite simple in a way. So we don't have anything to lose and only to gain something.
Lewis Hamilton didn't have the best start to the weekend with yet another appearance before the stewards after the team made a mistake with his tyres on Friday. But considering he's never driven here before, Lewis has been right on the pace, gaining time under braking and enjoying the power advantage of a fresh engine. So while he's not on pole, he's 2 places ahead of arch-rival Alonso, and that'll do nicely. Hamilton will win the title today if he finishes first or second, but if something goes wrong and he drops to third, fourth or fifth, as long as Alonso doesn't win, then he's still champion.
I think here, for sure I want to win the race, but I think that's always the way you have to always approach every race. I'm not coming here to finish fourth, but if you look at the statistics, I know where I need to finish, so I'm going to try to beat these guys, but if not, then I'll just finish behind them.
And now Lewis is spending his last few pre-race minutes with his brother Nicholas, who's had to overcome his own challenges in his life so far. But what a mutual inspiration they are, and what a partnership, what a team, Lewis and his brother Nicholas. Well, we struggled to work out Kimi Raikkonen. We've learned a lot more about Fernando Alonso during the course of this last season. Not all of it is good, but Lewis Hamilton, we feel that we've known him just about all his life, and it is a quite amazing story.
A life dedicated to the pursuit of victory.
I think all the possibilities are there. He certainly has the ability. It depends whether he keeps himself on track. The most important thing with Lewis at the moment is his schooling.
All I'm really looking for is just getting in the podium and stuff. I want to get on TV as well.
Hamilton's huge talent was obvious from his early outings in go-karts.
I think you should definitely look out for those names because these are real winners and very talented drivers.
Then McLaren picked him up and began the process of moulding him into the perfect racing driver.
It's hectic, but this is what I want to do. I want to become a Formula 1 driver. Every racing driver's ambition is to be a world Formula 1 champion in the future, and so that's basically what's keeping me going.
He steamrolled his way through the junior categories, winning the Formula 3 European Championship in 2005. Last year he won the championship in GP2, the feeder series for Formula 1. Now it's the big one. Next stop, Formula 1.
That's the next task, to win the World Championship.
There have been few rookies as talented as Hamilton, none as well prepared. It's a unique situation. That was the drive of a champion. Lewis Hamilton wins! He's rewriting the book of what is possible in Formula One.
How important, Mark, has this sort of scholarship that Lewis has had over the course of the last 8 or 9 years with McLaren, how important has it been for his ultimate development?
It's huge importance. It's never really been done before, Steve. The fact that you've got a Grand Prix team take a youngster like 10 or 11 years old and then put them through the process of educating them, whether it be in the car, out the car, giving them public speaking, letting them work with the engineers at this kind of level, giving them the resource to be funded year after year after year. Importantly, though, Lewis has had to deliver year after year, and he's done it very well, and he's won championships. We got to this stage, and it really is something very unique.
And we saw a final word of encouragement there from his father, Anthony Hamilton. His part has been absolutely invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, you know, all racing drivers, all sports people in general, have got a lot of family support, but these, you know, the Hamiltons are a very tight family. You can see Nick, his brother, you can see his father's always there around him. There's a lot of inspiration from his dad, that's for sure.
OK, let's turn to Kimi Räikkönen. We did mention that he's a bit of a puzzle, a struggle to work out, but here's a quick attempt anyway.
119 races, 446 points, 14 pole positions, 14 victories. Those are the statistics behind Kimi Räikkönen. But what of the man behind the numbers? Well, they call him the Iceman for his lack of emotion. His indifferent attitude to the establishment doesn't always go down well. But his courage and speed have won him a loyal fan base, and today they could just win him the ultimate prize. Mark Arnold, Räikkönen's long-term trainer and confidant, knows him better than anybody else in Formula One.
Kimi's known as the Iceman. Do you think that's an accurate way to describe his personality?
I think it's quite accurate in a way to describe the way he prepares for a weekend. He's very relaxed. I mean, you can't say he's not nervous, because of course all drivers get nervous coming into a race like this, but I think his nervous is probably most other people's relaxed. So I think from that point of view it is quite an accurate description. If you see him with his friends, like I say, it's just very different to what other people see, but when he gets to the circuit he's very focused, and I think Finnish people tend to be very good at sort of getting their head in order, getting themselves sort of in their own little world and just focusing on what they have to do.
What have you made of Kimi Räikkönen over the last few years as we see Lewis climbing into his McLaren?
Kimi's an interesting individual. I mean, he came into the sport with a big bang. He did Formula Renault, then stepped straight into a Formula One car. I still think he's probably on an ultimate lap the fastest Grand Prix driver around. But the Iceman is what they call him, and the Iceman is very much the best name for him. It's very difficult to get any emotion out of the guy, but put him in a Grand Prix car and he's very special.
And there's ice in the veins of Lewis Hamilton, but there's also plenty of emotion there as well. So it's a three-way shootout. The last time we had this in Formula One was 1986, and that was when it cost Nigel Mansell the title, that spectacular blowout in Adelaide. But here's a reminder of the kind of action that we could see when Formula One comes down to the wire.
No one's gonna take me alive. The time has come to make things right.
And look at that! That's Mansell! That is Nigel Mansell! And the car absolutely shattered. He's fighting for control. Ross has won the World Championship. This is the opportunity that Senna's looking for, and he's going through. Out! This is what we were fearing might happen during the race. Alain Prost has taken the advantage. Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing. Senna goes off at the first corner.
Yes, and that makes Ayrton Senna world champion this year.
Oh, out goes Schumacher. That was a desperate manoeuvre by Schumacher to stop Damon Hill winning the championship.
Villeneuve is all over him, look. He's going through. Oh, yes. I don't think.
Out goes Michael Schumacher.
That didn't work. That didn't work, Michael. You hit the wrong part of him, my friend.
And Schumacher, look at his right rear. Michael Schumacher out of the race. And Mika Häkkinen then is the world champion of 1998.
Well, let's have a word with the man who raced Lewis Hamilton very close to the GP2 title only a year ago. Nelson Piquet Jr., are you surprised that Lewis has actually made it to this stage where he's challenging for the championship?
Yeah, a little. I mean, everybody's a bit surprised of first-year rookie and doing such a good job. But I think he's a good driver, like all the GP2 top drivers. I think it's a very tough season, a tough series, and all the top drivers, I'm sure they're going to be doing good jobs, like Nico and Heike and most of them. So
thanks a lot. See you later. Back to you, Steve.
So much young talent in the sport. Nelson Piquet Jr. is part of it. Lewis Hamilton is the cream. We saw in that little compilation of what happens when we reach a final race shootout, the kind of desperate manoeuvres we can see out there and the sort of consequences that the sport has to confront. What are the possibilities today?
I think there's some high possibilities, and I think also the tyre issue could bring in something, because some of the teams are worrying about the performance on the softer tyre. They could incorporate a few more pit stops than what they had in the strategy, and some of that may actually cause some problems in handling, and we could see a couple of cars coming together. I don't think the big boys, and I mean by Ferrari and McLaren, will have any problems today, but it could cause some problems with back markers to that extent.
And Alonso and Raikkonen on the second row, that's got some potential, isn't it?
It definitely got potential. Those guys got nothing to lose. They've got to try and get in front of Lewis for a start. Massa's got to try and play that supporting role and backtrack if he can for Kimi Raikkonen to try and win this event. But, you know, Lewis has got a little bit of pressure there to bring it home. It's saying that we've seen him make a little bit of a mistake in China. I think he's going to learn from that. He only makes mistakes once. This race he knows has got to count.
So the pit lane is quite clearly open. The grid is filling up. They'll make their way around this anti-clockwise circuit, and Lewis always chooses his moment, the ideal moment, to get out there.
Yeah, very calm and collected. I actually saw Lewis at breakfast this morning in the hotel. He was with his trainer Adam, very chilled out. Didn't look like he had a World Championship to worry about. Didn't even look like he was going to be doing a Grand Prix today. And that's the thing about Lewis Hamilton. He handles pressures like no other young driver I've ever seen.
The tyre covers are off. Lewis Hamilton is on his way, and this shootout for the title is less than half an hour away. At Interlagos, the excitement of the crowd, the challenge of the undulating, twisty circuit makes this the perfect place to decide a Formula One World Championship. And rarely has a season built up to such a climax as this. We'll be on the Brazilian Grand Prix grid with Lewis Hamilton very shortly as the countdown continues.
This is the longest day of my life. Day of my life. This is the longest day of my life.
Interlagos with about 25 minutes to go for the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix. It may be the same sense of anticipation you were feeling just before 8 o'clock last night. Well, rest assured, just as England put in a supreme effort in Paris, Lewis Hamilton will be doing the same here in Sao Paulo as he bids to become the first ever rookie world champion. And aside from all the politics and accusations and controversy of this Formula One season, one of the great pleasures has been a Saturday evening conversation with Lewis, and he was on pretty good form once again last night.
Coming here, it's quite strange because everyone says to you, do you have a hero, have you got a role model? And I've never actually said I have a particular role model or hero. I think it sounds pretty corny. But I arrived here and immediately I felt presence of Ayrton Senna, and you know, all these emotions started coming in. I'm thinking, shoot, he actually had a huge impact in my life and of who I am today and how I go around my business. The aura he had, you know, for every youngster and every driver that is competing wants to have something like that, and he was just unreal. You know, how he was able to get into the zone and pull out that single lap. That's something I've always focused on, and as you can see, I'm getting close to being able to do that, and I've had 6 pole positions this year, and you know, he's sort of encouraged me and inspired me to be able to do that, and I've really worked on my skill and technique to do that, and you know, it was just a phenomenal guy.
He, like you, had a career that was catalogued from a very early age, and the last few weeks have been an excuse to get out all the old video clips of yourself talking very boldly about what you were going to do in the course of your career from age 11 onwards.
I got Ron Dennis's phone number. I can find him in 9 years, and I'll get to find him, and he might give me a free drive in McLaren.
I have seen it. I have seen that clip, and it's quite funny actually. And I do think when I was young, I was such a miserable little son. I could see, you know, I hate losing. I can own up to that. I hate losing, but I can take it. I think back when I was younger, my dad really had to pound it into me to take it easy. You know, there's always another race, and yeah, it makes it a lot easier now because if you have a bad race like the last one, he's able to bounce back and recover from it. You know, it has been building up for many, many years, and this has been something that I've had my heart set on my whole life, and I'll be damned if anything comes in the way of it. But you know, anything can happen still. But I'm going to do my utmost to make sure I keep that car on the track, and I'm the fastest. And you know, at least if I come out of the race, if I don't win, then at least I come out of the race and say, okay, I did the best job I could, and we'll go on to the next one and do the best job we can now.
Well, Yanni, good to see you, and another great qualifying performance in the Toyota. How's it looking for the race?
Well, pretty good. Yesterday I was quite happy with the car balance and handling. So in general, I'm optimistic for today, even if a big question mark is on the tyres, because we have a new circuit tarmac, which is giving really hard time to the tyres, and will be the biggest issues of today's race.
Who do you think is going to be world champion then?
Well, it's difficult now to say. I'm not a magician. We'll just wait and see.
We were hearing from a pretty emotional Lewis Hamilton a few minutes ago. Felipe Massa on pole position, another driver who will feel the legacy and inspiration of Ayrton Senna here at Interlagos this afternoon. We'll be down on that grid with Martin Brundle very shortly. But first of all, here's a chance at our ITV F1 competition.
As we celebrate the last race of this season, we're giving you the chance, courtesy of Hilton Racing, to win a fantastic trip for 2 to the first race of next season, the Australian Grand Prix, on the 16th of March 2008. You'll have your flights down to Melbourne included, plus accommodation in an executive room at the 5-star Hilton on the Park. You'll also get great grandstand seats to watch all the action, an official merchandise bag, plus an exclusive tour of the McLaren Mercedes garage. So to be in with an opportunity of winning this great prize, just give the correct answer to this question from Mr. Hamilton.
For your chance to win a fantastic trip to next year's Australian Grand Prix, just answer this question. Which championship did I win in 2006? Was it A, Formula 1, B, GP2, or C, NASCAR? Good luck.
Here's the number to call: 0901 293 2020, or text F1 plus your answer of A, B or C to 63337. Calls cost £1 per entry from a BT landline. Calls from other networks and mobiles may be higher. Text will also cost £1 plus the standard network rate. You've got to be 18 or over to enter. Lines close 6 p.m, Tuesday the 6th of November. Entries received after this time will not count but may still be charged. And cable and satellite viewers can press the red button.
Good luck with that, and will Lewis Hamilton be at the Australian Grand Prix as defending world champion? The interesting thing in that conversation with him yesterday evening, Mark, was he was quite happy to confront the possibility of things not working out for him this afternoon, and him not coming away from here as world champion. It was a pretty mature approach.
I think he understands that, you know, he's the new boy in the block, and it's in some ways quite unbelievable to him that he's been leading the world championship for so long, and the success has been there. But I think all in all things should go well for him. I think he's very calm and collected. The pressure really is there, but at the same time, as I say, time and time again we've seen Lewis handle pressure, and although he's just pulled up to the grid and he's done that many times, this is going to be something very special.
Not a good day for Heikki Kovalainen in the other Williams yesterday. This is Nico Rosberg, who qualified up on row 5, but Heikki Kovalainen, who was rumoured to be possibly a running mate of Lewis Hamilton at McLaren next year, well, he failed to come through the first qualifying session yesterday. He's back on row 9, but we can hear from him.
Well, this is the man who's tipped to become Lewis Hamilton's teammate next season if Alonso and McLaren decide to go their separate ways. Heikki, if it does happen, is that a challenge that you'd relish?
Yeah, absolutely, but I think it's a lot of speculation at the moment, and starting from here at the back of the grid, I don't know what McLaren was thinking yesterday. They probably thought, maybe better not to think about him, but honestly, we're still talking to many teams. And, all I can say, I have a contract with Renault until the end of the year. We have to wait and see what the other guys do. And I hope I'm in a competitive team next year. I think Renault can be a very competitive next year. So, it's still very difficult to say what will happen.
Could still be a special day for you, though.
As we saw there, just making his way back onto the grid. What about the situation at McLaren now? Now that Felipe Massa has got an extension at Ferrari and Kimi Raikkonen is confirmed there for a couple of seasons yet, there's a feeling starting to grow, unthinkable a few weeks ago, that Alonso might still be at McLaren next year.
There is a possibility of that. You talk to people and they feel that the Ferrari situation with Massa really put pay to Alonso's options. I don't know, with all what's gone on over the course of this season and all what we've seen Alonso say and do, I'm not so sure he'll still be there.
But that's all politics. Today is racing. Let's go down onto that grid and join Martin Brundle.
What a wonderful day, a great sporting event, wonderful racetrack too, beautiful people, just what we need for a Grand Prix this afternoon. This track is incredibly hot, this new very dark surface absorbing the heat. You can see the claggy old track there on the side where they haven't quite made that with the tarmacking machine. It's about a 200-metre run down to that first corner, so the start is critical here, and of course most of the overtaking is going to happen down there. It's all about tyres today, as you've heard earlier in the programme. Everybody on the grid are nervous, not only about their prime tyre, the slightly harder one, but having blisters, but the option tyre could be as much as 3 or 4 seconds a lap slow. And remember, they've got to use both types. You'll see the option tyre, the soft one, got a white stripe around it. Unusual grid here, unique in fact. Look at this pit wall, massively high. You feel like you're in a tunnel when your backside scraping along the ground here as you're driving at 200 miles an hour. The crowd are expectant, and lots of fans up there of all nationalities looking for a great race this afternoon. I've decided I'm not going to try and talk to Lewis Hamilton. He's in a zone. We've seen him down there. We've heard plenty from him in the show anyway, and I absolutely don't want to bother him. But we'll just poke around and see the job that's got to be done. Felipe Massa, Daniel, let's try and get out of this crowd if we can. Felipe Massa, of course, on pole position, dominated this race last year. He'll hope that Raikkonen can't take the championship and we'll have to allow him to go on and win the race if he's fast enough. I don't know if he's up for a quick chat, but I suspect he's going to say no, but we'll just have a poke in here. Luca. Yep. He's just talking to his... Sorry about that, Andy. He's just talking to his manager. Quick word for us, Felipe? Well, you're obviously going to hope you can dominate the race like last year, but you've got a different role to play maybe this afternoon.
Depends. It doesn't depend just from myself. It depends of how the race goes. So let's try to start thinking about the victory.
Yeah, so you're going to head off the grid and go for the victory. How critical are the tyres? How worried are you about tyres?
I think the tyres will be not so easy, especially the super soft for everybody, but everybody's in the same boat, so everybody needs to use. Let's try to use at the right time.
Okay, home crowd cheering you on. Bit of extra energy?
Yeah, I think so, a lot.
Good stuff. See you later. Let's ease our way. Excuse me, chap, we're coming through here. And we got Bernie up here. I'd love to have a quick chat with Bernie. He's just having a kiss and a cuddle there with the pole sitter, Felipe Massa. And we'll poke at Bernie. Just will you walk down these 4 cars with me? I want to know what you think. It's been an extraordinary. Let's just have a word with this gentleman. Sorry, Don Emilio Botan, you're the boss of Santander, sponsor of the race, sponsor of McLaren. You've got Alonso trying to win the championship. Special day for you.
I am very happy to be first year in this sponsorship with McLaren. Also that we have two fantastic pilots with us, and it's unique to be here with Bernie and everybody. It's a great sport.
Okay, I'm going to try and steal your host, if I may. Bernie, Massa, what do you think he's got to do today? You reckon he's going to take this race?
Absolutely. No opposition.
Who do you think is going to win the championship?
I'd like to think it's Fernando, to be honest with, but you never know what's going to happen here, do you?
Who do you want to win the championship?
I think it'd be good for Formula One if he won, but I mean, I'm a bit worried when you look at this grid and you never know what's going to happen, do you?
Yeah, but you said that you wanted Lewis to win because he's going to be more of a dynamic champion, and the other guys don't say anything for Formula One. We've not heard from Alonso when he's been world champion.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he's new kid on the block. I mean, that's fantastic, obviously. It's new and everything, brand new and everything, but, you know, maybe he should wait a little bit. What do you think? What do you think?
Well, I want to see Hamilton win it. I think he deserves to win it. He's had some brilliant drives. He's had incredible pressure off the track. He's kept his head when most guys of his age wouldn't have had a prep. Do you?
Yes, for sure. You're 100% right. But he's got a long time in front of him. If he didn't get the job done here, you know, it's not like it's finished. I'd like to see him win.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's good news. Do you believe, and I'm not sure I do you believe Alonso would have Hamilton off to take the championship?
I don't think there's a lot of love lost between them. I mean, that's what I said. That's the whole point here. You know, Massa's going to disappear, and then it's going to be left for the other three, huh?
All right, well, that should be a great race. Let's hope we have a good end to the season. Thanks for your input. I want to just have a quick word with the former champion of, if he's still around, and that's Emerson Fittipaldi. Is busy talking. Let's just have a quick word. Emerson, can we just have a quick word with you? We've got a few million people here keen to know. How are you? Good to see you. McLaren world champion. Well, who do you think is going to take the title today?
Well, I think Lewis has the best chance. With his handicap against him, has much less experience than Fernando Alonso under pressure. But he showed fantastic here this year. Unbelievable here he's doing. He just have to stay there on the top three, not do a mistake, administrate the race.
Okay, my view is that Lewis Hamilton, all he has to do is keep Alonso in vision, just on the end of his nose or just ahead of him, and then he can take the title. It's all to play for. But are we going to have a problem with tyres later in the Grand Prix? We'll find out.
Well done, and thank you, Martin. It was extraordinary, Mark, to hear Bernie Ecclestone backing Fernando Alonso for the title.
I was slightly confused by all of his comments there, but I think at the end of it, he kind of said he wants to see Lewis win, and I'm sure I do alongside that view, but I don't know. Let's wait and see. As Martin said, there's a lot can happen.
And briefly, the priorities for Lewis, what is it in the opening laps he's got to get right?
He's just got to keep himself in check, keep out of trouble, make sure that nobody else gets him in trouble. I think we've seen Lewis come over the course of this season, huge experiences build up, but this is a big race.
Well, it's been a season of accusation and scandal, of politics and punishment. It's also been a season of quite supreme competition as well. And now in the last couple of hours of this amazing Formula One season, it's racing that will settle all the arguments. The Brazilian Grand Prix, will it be Lewis? Will it be World Championship glory? The Brazilian Grand Prix here at Interlagos, it's moments away.
Longest day of my life.